Alright, hello everyone, this is Top Guides, and today we are going to be reviewing the first half of the faction mods for Starsector. There is 45 up to date, and so originally I was going to do all of them in the video. It's just taking me a long time, so instead we're going to do the first half, and we're going to be doing them from worst to best of the first half, I should say. So we cut off at the Microorian Shipyards. Alright, so yeah, first of all, I'm going to be rating every single faction based off vanilla, which basically means how well it fits into vanilla, both in like theme, design, and balance. And then we're going to go ahead and rate the theme, which is like how consistent the faction is with itself and like how cool the theme is. And so like, if you have like a junking fleet, is what it's supposed to be designed as, but all the ships are high tech, then even if the ships are cool, that'll bump it up the theme a little bit. But the theme is not consistent. It doesn't really make sense that you're flying a bunch of high tech if you're a junking fleet. So then you'd be down. And then last is gameplay. And so gameplay is basically just how fun the stuff it adds is to gameplay, which is a pretty subjective measurement. But I try to do my best job not to let my biases show too much. Alright, let's go ahead and get started with and I should say none of these factions are actually truly bad. All the factions have time and effort put into them, and all of them are playable and look nice. But with so many factions out there, I've never played a game with I think more than 9 added factions, so you still have to be selective. Anyway, so with the worst faction for the first half is Battle Fleets of the Gothic Sector. This is a Warhammer 40k Orc and Imperium factions, as you can see here. And the reason it's so low is because even though like the ships are somewhat cool, like nice designs and stuff like that, they're really overpowered, and so it's like what can you do there? So it gets a 2 in the vanilla score. It gets a 6 in theme because the design are consistent, matches the Warhammer 40k Imperium. I will say I'm not necessarily a huge fan of some of the orc ship designs, but they're still pretty fine. And then in terms of gameplay, I gave it a 5. It adds, some really cool weapons and cool ships and stuff like that, that I love to play with. The problem is just like they're not super well balanced. So overall, it gets a 4.3, and it is compatible with Nexellerin. Nexorelin. Okay, I know I mispronounced it last time, so I'll make sure that I get it correct. Yep. Anyway, that's Battle Fleets of the Gothic Sector. Let's go ahead and move on to the next faction. The next faction is blue. I'll say I've played with blue before. I actually enjoyed it. It's they're well designed ships. They're nice. Honestly, I think I was a little bit too hard on blue. But I rated it 6 in vanilla because while the lore makes sense in vanilla and while it seems to be placed there, the ships are, I think, in my opinion, a little bit unbalanced. They tried to balance like the amount of gun turrets and stuff like that. Like look at how many gun turrets these have. So these have like overwhelming ballistic firepower. But in return, they have higher upkeep and lower readiness times and stuff like that. And I don't necessarily think that that's was a balanced trade-off. So that's why I gave it a 6 in vanilla. I gave it a 5 in theme because it doesn't really make sense that wandering armada of engineers and explorers have some of the like most advanced ships and stuff like that, especially ships that have high maintenance. I would think that they'd be going for ships that have, lower maintenance and all sorts of other stuff. So I kind of just viewed it as not consistent, so I gave it a 5. And then in terms of gameplay, I gave it a 5. This one was probably especially harsh. It probably deserves more than 5 because it adds some really cool ships and stuff. So I apologize for that. But anyway, yeah, so this is, blue is a wandering spacer state that is now finally returning to the sector. All right, that is blue. And overall they rate 5.33. And then let's go ahead and go on to the next one, which is the Machine Void series. I cannot spell. Wait, no, it's shoot. I wrote Machine Void series, but there's a word before Machine Void series. Here we are. Experimental ship pack. So let's see. This is a Machine Void series. They have some really cool ships. Like look at how sick some of these things look. It's a small faction, but they have really cool ships. But the problem is that the ships are a little bit OP, and so that's why it rated 4 in the vanilla. It's just they have some things that are too strong. It rated 6 in terms of theme because look at how sick these designs are. Like, oh my gosh, dude, these are so cool. And then it rated 6 for gameplay because like adds some really cool mounts, adds some really cool ships. It is Nexarellan. It is compatible with Nexarellan. Honestly, I like the faction. I would play with this faction, but some stuff have to be rated the lowest, and so that's what this is. And this also gets an overall rating of 5.33. All right, now let's go ahead and go on to the next one, which is Gundam Ironblooded Orphans. So Gundam Ironblooded Orphans, it adds mech suits. So that's a huge huge draw. Look at these little mech suits here. I have not played with this mod, if I'm going to be honest, but I really want to try the mech suits. And there's a reason why it's rated where it is. It's because there's another faction that also adds mech suits, and I just like the other one a little bit better. Also, I don't like the ship designs, so that's what that is. So if you love mech suits, or if you love like tiny ships or stuff like that, this is a really great faction for you. I rated it 4 for vanilla because flying around mech suits and stuff is not super vanilla friendly. Also, I assume it's really hard to balance these boys. Theme, I gave it a 5. Not all the designs and stuff are really consistent. In terms of gameplay, I gave it an 8 because I'm really excited about mech suits, and I thought they would be really fun to play with. So this is Gundam Ironblooded Orphans. Honestly, I would have played with this. I would have been really hype. But I think Gundam UC, which is the other Gundam faction, is just better designed. So kind of unfortunate for this mod developer, but it is what it is. Definitely playable, and it gets an overall rating of 5.66. Control W. Oh, there we are. Nope, I accidentally just closed my rating sheet. I'll put my rating sheet in the description below at the end of this. Now we have the Exalted. Wow, I spelled that wrong. Okay, anyway. Join the Exalted. Okay, never mind. So the Exalted, they are a Tritech spin-off group who left during the AI wars, and they have a firm belief in high technology, and they also kind of worship AI cores and all that jazz. They have some really cool designs for ships. They have some really nice phase, everything else. They're a kind of cool faction. They have high-tech ships with serviceable vanilla balance. I gave them 7 for vanilla because it's with how the Tri-Trek got involved with the AI wars and everything else. It's definitely believable people would splinter off, and they have decent balance and everything else. In terms of theme, I gave them a 5. Why did I give them a 5? I wish I had written. I think I just didn't. I think I just thought that the designs of the ships were kind of all over the place. They earned a reputation for being cruel and ruthless, and moves. I didn't like kind of how all over the designs are. But realistically, 5 is probably way too low a rating. But feel free, you guys, to do your own ratings and stuff afterwards. Yep. So this is this faction. Don't really have too much to say. Overall rating is a 6. Definitely serviceable faction. It's definitely playable. If you like phase ships, this is a good faction to play with. And add some other cool ships and technology. Okay, let's go ahead and go on to the next faction. And the next faction is Diable Avionics. So Diable Avionics, I will say I have a bunch, and by a bunch I mean 6 factions, rated 6.33 overall, and Diable is one of them. I will say, probably Diable should be higher. I'm gonna say that about all of them, but I guess I just like these more than I'm doing this now. I've played quite a few campaigns with Diable. I like them. I do not know why I have them this low, but I guess someone has to. Yeah, even in my notes, I wrote beautiful, well-defined ships, adding cool mechanics, and it's a lightweight. Oh yeah, okay. And so also, some of the coolest things that it adds multiple transforming ships. Absolutely freaking cool. It's mid-tech, has focuses on missiles and fighters. It's a really lightweight faction, so it's not gonna mess up with anything else in gameplay. I rated it a 5 in terms of vanilla, just because. That's why it's so low. Yeah, I rated it 5 in terms of vanilla. It doesn't mess with too many things, but I feel like the fighter and missiles are already. I mean, I'm obviously biased, so this is probably where my bias is coming in. But I feel like fighters and missiles are already some of the strongest ways to play, and vanilla especially together, because then you have your fighters to kind of fend them off, and you have your missiles to engage them at range. So I kind of felt like they were already a little strong. The theme is an 8. Look at these ships; they're so cool. They're so beautiful. And then I wrote it 6 in terms of gameplay, because while it does add, some missiles and the transforming ships and everything else, it doesn't really change too many other things about the game. So this is a amazing lightweight faction mod, which, some people are just looking for faction mods that are kind of just faction mods and don't really change too many else. And so if you want something like that, this is an amazing opportunity for you. Okay, now we have another one of the ones rated at 6.333, and this is Everyone Loves the Cocobine. Where is it? Everyone Loves the Cocobine. Here we are. Everyone Loves the Cocobine. The Cocobine is a lightweight faction that is a spin-off of the Hegemony, and it makes a lot of sense to me. They have some really cool ships and everything else. Story events. Yeah, okay. Where do I have the law? Blah, blah, blah. The lore. Yeah, anyway, it's a spin-off of the Hegemony faction. They are a micro faction, and they kind of like Hegemony, so they're super lightweight. They have high and mid-tech ships focused on support. I gave them 8 overall in vanilla because it really fits in. Makes sense that the Hegemony would have kind of like micro factions and splinters and stuff under it. Theme, I gave it a 6. Pretty consistent, pretty cool ships. And in terms of gameplay, I gave it 5 because I didn't really feel like it added too much. Honestly, dude, I feel like I'm unfairly low on these people for gameplay, but I guess I just add some new ships. Maybe this probably should have been a 6, but it's pretty cool. Add some new support ships. Not too many faction mods actually consider adding support ships, and in my opinion, there needs to be more variety in those. So I always appreciate that. Great lightweight faction. Honestly, I should probably put faction packages together, maybe things that go well together. But yeah, it's next compatible. Honestly, almost all these factions are next compatible, which is great. I did write for next compatibility, and I think that's because if you use random sector, then it can mess some stuff up. Anyway, let's go ahead and go on to the next faction, which is also 6.33, and that is Halo United Space Marines Command. And so this is a UNSC colony fleet. They accidentally flew through a gate, and now they're here. And so this is a great Halo mod that is non-intrusive to vanilla experience, and so you can kind of add it with no risk. I rated it 7 in terms of vanilla, which is surprisingly high since it is another lore entirely. And you saw where I rated the Warhammer 40k stuff, but really the developer of this mod has done an amazing job at keeping the balance really well, and also making all the ships and stuff look really consistent and stuff like that. Yeah, like look at these beauties. So I love it. It's great. In terms of theme, it gets a 6. These are beautiful ships, and they match the theme well. Just doesn't necessarily go the extra mile to get higher than a 6, but whatever. In terms of gameplay, it's also a 6. It adds new ships, it adds new weapons. It doesn't necessarily add anything above and beyond, and so that's why we're going to go ahead and rate it a 6 in terms of gameplay. It has mid-tech ships that are well balanced to vanilla, and they also add some Halo weapons. So if you are a Halo fan, or you just want a great lightweight faction mod, this is an amazing choice for you. I also really like how the design is kind of while it is vanilla compatible and everything else, I like kind of how it has uniquely designed ships, because a lot of ships in vanilla, while they do look different, they're all clearly in the same thing. And so I really like how it has kind of like battleship designs and stuff like that for its ships. All right, let's go ahead and move on to the next faction. And the next faction is the Adonis Citadel Exiles. Adonis Citadel Exiles, ICE for short. So, as you can see here, they have a really, really cool looking ships. It follows the rule of cool. These are high-tech ships with beautiful designs, but they are a little bit of a glass cannon. They have high armor, but really low hull points, and so that really does a good job of balancing them out. That said, I still rode them a 5 for vanilla. These ships don't super look like they fit in vanilla, and also it is really hard to balance glass cannon type ships well. In terms of theme, I gave it a 8 because look at these beauties. Oh my gosh, dude. It's definitely worth it for just these ships alone. And they also have really cool animations and everything else going on with them. So, definitely worth it. Gameplay, I gave it a 6 because it kind of just adds these ships and nothing really else. But super cool. It's next compatible. Yeah, just play it. Cool. Then let's go ahead and move on to the next faction. We're still in all the 6.333 factions, and that is the Shipyards. So Carvium Shipyards, they get a 6 for vanilla. Decently looking ships, everything else like that. Look at these. Looks like it could fit into vanilla. It's the Carvium Shipyard is a famous pre-collapse shipyard. They have top of the line midline ships. I guess that makes sense. They also have some Pride ships, if that is your thing. So, feel free to use them. They focus on battle carriers and fighter superiority. Seems like a lot of mods focus on fighter superiority. But anyway, they get a 6 for vanilla because they're pretty cool. They get a 7 for theme. These all match each other. Honestly, I think it's a little boring theme. Maybe I should have rated it down, but it fits. And all their ships and stuff, they generate with no demods and everything else like that, because obviously they're shipyards and stuff like that. So they do a really good job of production of great ships. In terms of gameplay, adds a 6. I gave it a 6. Kind of just like standard stuff. Adds ships, adds weapons. Doesn't add things that are too exciting. So there's that. And so that's going ahead is the Carvium Shipyards. And now let's go to the last and final 6.333 faction, which is the Zen Empire, which is actually 2 factions in one. It's the Zen Empire and the United Pomad. So Zen Empire, they're a dogmatic aristocracy. Where are my notes on the... Yeah, they're an isolationist and dogmatic aristocracy, and the United Paulmen are a small economic powerhouse. And the United Paulmen are only able to hold on for themselves because they have amazing industrial output. Zen Empire is pretty cool. It is located in deep space if you aren't using random sector, so that's pretty cool. The Zen Empire is pretty aggressive in its diplomacy, so should make your games pretty interesting. As you can see here, their ships, they look pretty cool. I gave the Zen Empire and United Paulmen a 7 in terms of vanilla because definitely fits with the vanilla theme. It adds a faction where there could have been a faction there. It's like, oh yeah, it makes sense for there to be an aristocracy in the stars. Like pre-collapse. People can do all sorts of other crazy stuff. Gave it 6 in terms of theme because while these ships and stuff all do look the same, like they look consistent and everything else like that. It's not really exciting. Maybe that's like, you shouldn't be looking for exciting ships. But a lot of things do have exciting designs. So that's why I gave it a 6. In terms of gameplay, I gave it a 6 because while it does add, new weapons, new ships, and everything else like that, and some cool bounties, that's kind of just all it adds. It doesn't add anything especially cool. So, if you want, aristocracy and some other, polities and stuff like that, Zen Empire and United Paulmen is a good choice. Yeah, overall it's 6.33. All right, and now we are going to get to the 6.67s. And there's a number of those, so let's go ahead and go to the Celestial Mount Circle. Celestial Mount Circle, they are a cool faction mod. They are a naturalist religious group, somewhat similar to the Luds, but they are definitely distinct from them. They do diplomatically align with the Luds a lot. They have really cool ships. They are mid-tech, and they have a lot of... all their ships have actually AI fighters on them. And if the AI fighters are lost, then it actually hurts the ship's whole performance. I just think those, and you can see where the fighters exit on all these ships and stuff like that. And I just think that this concept is really, really cool. All the way down to the frigate, they have their fighters called the funnels coming out. And yeah, honestly, I didn't think I would rate this so highly, but I gave it a 9 in terms of vanilla because it fits right at home in vanilla for there to be another religious group, and kind of just running around doing their own thing. And look at these ships; these are definitely look like vanilla ships. In terms of theme, I gave it a 6. Kind of because I'm not too sure of the way naturalists and returning to nature. Why they're funding a military when they're, described as primitive lives huddled in small star systems. I'm not exactly sure why they have a bunch of ships. So that's why I rated them 6. Even though the theme and the idea of having these funnels and affect ship performance and everything else like that is really cool. In terms of gameplay, I gave it a 5. Honestly, I kind of wish I'd given it a 6. Just because I really like the design. I really like maybe it's a gimmick to have all of them have built-in AI fighters, and then if they lose them, it affects performance and everything else like that. But I thought it was really cool design, really cool idea. Very clean, really lightweight faction mod. Honestly, I'm surprised I gave it. I was not expecting to give it this high score when I was reviewing it, but it's great. Yeah, it's a simple and not showy mod. And honestly, it knocks that out of the park. I'd really love this faction mod. We'll definitely play it in my next playthrough. I like it even more than some of the ones that I rated higher. Actually, I would like it more than a lot of the ones that I rated higher. There's just something about this faction mod that really attracts me to it. Maybe it's the green. I don't know. Okay, let's go ahead. Oh, and this gives it an overall rating of 6.67. Yeah. Let's go ahead and go on to the next one, which is the Dissalt Microorian Engineering. Oh man, I should practice saying these names beforehand. Anyway, this is a really well-designed faction with a very clean look and well-balanced. Like, look at these ships. Oof, they look really cool. I like it a lot. In terms of vanilla, I gave it a 6. These all look really cool. It adds a lot of things that I'm not sure how balanced they are. Yeah, that's probably the best way to say it. And also, these don't necessarily, while these are really cool ships, they don't necessarily look at home with vanilla. This looks more like, this looks more like, these look like more like Star Trek ships, with everything looking like really clean, really, really modern and stuff like that. Why everything in Starsector is, like really grungy, but I still really like the designs. But anyway, that's why it gets a 6 in terms of vanilla. Gets a 7 in terms of theme because these are all really consistent with each other. They look amazing. In terms of gameplay, I gave it a 7 because it adds a decent amount of stuff. Adds some really cool exploration things to see. Adds even the Sigma Matter tech ships and the Blade Breakers, which the Blade Breakers are kind of just a new antagonistic faction. So really cool stuff. And adds to the deserters. Yep, forgot about those. And the ships are clean mid-tech cruiser and fighter centric. And also, as you can see, they add a lot of cool weapons. But they are a little bit fighter centric. So really cool overall, and adds new support ships, which is honestly one of the things that I look for because a lot of things don't add the cool support ships. All right, that is the Dissalt Microorian engineering, and now let's go ahead and go on to the, in my opinion, better Gundam mod, which is Gundam UC. So here we have all the Gundam UC ships. Woo, they're running around looking really cool. Here we have the two factions, which is the Earth and Zeon. Which are, I'm not sure if you guys have ever seen Gundam. I've only seen a couple, I've seen a couple movies. I wrote in here, they have, of the ships and everything else, they are freaking Gundams with mech suits. They have beautiful ships, well designed. There are some balance problems with the Gundams once again, because it's really hard to balance ships that small that rely on speed. And the AI doesn't necessarily handle them. The AI handle them fine, I guess. Like, realistically, the AI handles them fine. But anyway, you can see some of the Gundams running around over here. Just look at these ships. They look so cool. I gave it a 5 in terms of vanilla, just because it's not necessarily balanced super well. I gave it a 7 in terms of theme. Amazing. Knocked it out of the park. I gave it an 8 in terms of gameplay, because it adds freaking Gundams. Let's go. And average rating of, and also in terms of vanilla, it doesn't super fit in vanilla. It doesn't really explain what they're doing here and everything else. So, whatever. It gives an average rating of 6.67. I really love this. Look forward to including this more often. I love Gundams, even if I love mech suits. Like, let's be honest. So, yeah. I tried not to let that steer my rating, and I don't think I did. If I let it steer my rating, it would have been a lot higher. I'm really excited. Next, we have the first of the 7s, and that is, I don't want to miss, no, it is Gratipiet and Moriarty Defense Authority. You know what? That's good enough for me. So the Gortardi and Gurtip and Moriarty Defense Authority, these are kind of like, they're kind of like rent-a-cops, and they're protecting all the independent systems because no one else really wants to. A little bit of mercenaries. I gave them, the ships are all consistently themed. They are fast and light with unparalleled speed, but they don't necessarily have the greatest ability to tank shots. So they're all pretty cool. As you can see, a lot of them are actually modified versions of the base game ships, but honestly, I think that's totally fine because it makes sense for like rent-a-cops to be modifying, ships for their own design, they modify them all to be fast, which also really fits with running around protecting independent systems because don't necessarily have enough ships to defend everything, so you want to be able to move quickly to resist pirates and Luddites and everything else like that. So yeah, I really like this faction mod. It gave it 7 in terms of vanilla. Makes sense for them to be there. It is well balanced. Gave it a 7 in terms of themes. Look at the ships. Ooh, they all fit together really well. Gave it a 7 in terms of gameplay. And honestly, the thing is, if you're playing with a lot of different faction mods, which, you know, I have played with a lot of faction mods at once before, you kind of need someone like this, because a lot of them add new hostile factions, and the new hostile factions will just ravage independence. So this one is probably going to become a staple of my bigger playthroughs, and kind of just out of necessity. Yeah, and looks great, works great. Even add some other ships and stuff that you can do. Yeah, it's great. I love it. Oh, shoot. Once again, I have closed out my ratings instead of closing out that tab. Okay, let me re-pull them up really quick. All right. Now we will go ahead and go on to the Apex Design Collective. Another one rated 7. Yes, now I remember this. So the Apex Design Collective, these were striking workers, and they fought for their for their freedom from the design authority. They fought the Shipyard Company, and in the end, they ended up winning. They are revolutionary, and interestingly enough, they are heavy anti-Tritech. Them and Tritech are at war because they supported striking Tritech workers, and Tritech was not happy about that, and they were not happy that they put down the striking workers. So yeah, really, really cool. I honestly like the pale. Maybe I just like pale green. Maybe I just like green chips. I like the design. I also really like. I'm not sure if any of you guys have seen Starship Troopers. I watched it for the first time just recently, and this really reminds me of Starship Troopers. Would you like to know more? And it's like, yes, I'd like to know more about combat. So if you guys haven't seen Starship Troopers, you should see it. It's a good movie. Anyway, I gave it a 6 in terms of vanilla, because while they do have these pros and cons, yada, 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 this is not really, like, the expense and being slow, I don't super think is necessarily huge drawbacks. The fewer weapon slots than average is a big drawback. But the thing is what makes them really overpowered is this, which is the remote support systems that can buff or repair allies. And so, honestly, them by themselves are not OP. Like, if I was fighting a fleet of these guys aren't actually OP. But if you mix the carriers, especially like these guys, with you know, like regular frontline ships and stuff like that, that's where you run into OP things, because this can just sit in the back with its fighters and everything else and heal your other ships. It honestly works surprisingly well with pirates. Yeah, so I would combine a bunch of these or these guys or whatever with pirates, and honestly, you are in business. Yeah, and so these are low-tech tanky ships that have remote healing, and they have some other cool stuff. Would love to have rated this higher. Definitely playing with this in my next playthrough. But, you know, it is what it is. In terms of theme, I gave it 7. I like the theme. It fits nicely into vanilla. Honestly, I'm surprised that there wasn't another, you know, kind of like pro-worker state or something else that I've run into yet. And I can't really say that I have. So, you know, it's cool. And in terms of gameplay, I gave it 8. I really would like to play more with some of the really cool things that they add. And these are definitely really unique ships, and so yeah, I think it's worth playing with. Cool. This is the Apex Design Collective. Also rated a 7 overall. Interstellar Imperium. Here we are. Interstellar Imperium. I wrote "Long Live the Emperor." So these are a formal vassal kingdom of the domain. And they have now become an AI-driven empire. Honestly, I kind of thought being a pro-AI would be a bigger thing for a lot of these faction mods, because, you know, there are the Tritech, and they kind of just want to harvest them, so there's like an open design space right there. But honestly, surprisingly, there's not that many people that are super pro-AI. So Interstellar Imperium fits a really nice niche. They are expansionistic, kind of Byzantine. And they have cool ships and pro AI. Like, look at these things. They're pretty sick. They have mid-tech, powerful frontal assault, weak from behind and maneuvering. Honestly, it surprises me how many people list the drawback of their ship as maneuvering. And it's like, I don't know, unless you're playing with a bunch of phase frigates, well, especially later into the game. I guess earlier on, maneuvering matters a lot. But like later in the game, a lot of times ships just go in a line. Maybe I'm just not good enough at commanding my ships, which definitely could be the case. But yeah, so these are powerful, huge frontal batteries. I like them. I like the designs. I just think that they're not necessarily the most balanced, so that's why I went ahead and gave it a 7. Mostly I gave it a 7 because I really like the design space, and I think it fits well in vanilla, not necessarily for the balance of the ships. I gave it 7 for the theme. I love the theme. I love the Imperium, yada, yada, yada. Really cool stuff here. And then I gave it a 7 for gameplay, and I gave it a 7 for gameplay mostly because they add these other cool packages and stuff that can be attached. Armor package, targeting package, elite package, and add some other really cool stuff that I'd love to play with. Yeah, fully fledged station, 4 tiers power. Yeah. Cool thing overall. Maybe I rated it too high on gameplay, but I just like the faction, I like the theme, I like everything else. Maybe I'll play with it next game, but who knows for sure. Man, this is taking a long time. I'm really glad I broke this into 2 videos. All right, let's go ahead and go with the Junkyard Dogs. Junkyard Dogs, surprisingly enough, there's actually multiple dog or wolf themed faction mods. This one though I definitely approve of. They are working class miners and salvagers that have banded together, and as you can see, it is kind of just a hodgepodge of ships and stuff, and that's because they're kind of just loosely associated. Yeah, and as I wrote here, they have a veritable smorgasbord of ships, and a lot of them are good designs. A lot of them focus on support ships and everything else like that, so that's cool. I gave them a 7 in terms of vanilla, because it makes sense. I gave them a 7 in terms of but vanilla doesn't have mining, so I guess it doesn't really make sense in vanilla for them to be there. But this is a Next compatible mod. In fact, I believe it requires Next. Man, I have not been mentioning Next compatibility with all of them, but realistically, all of them are compatible with Next, and just them being Next compatible means that they already have the diplomacy profile and stuff built in. Yeah, but Junkyard Dogs look really cool. They're Next compatible. Yeah, give them 7 in terms of vanilla. Pretty well balanced. Give them a 6 in terms of theme. While it does match the theme of the faction to have all sorts of different designs and stuff like that, I don't super like how everything looks differently, and I know that that's just a consequence of the faction itself, and it makes sense lore wise and everything else, but I don't like it, so that's why I gave it a 6, and I gave it a 8 in terms of gameplay because this faction adds 42 faction ships, 10 pirate ships, 10 HVBs. It adds so many different things. Adds a bunch of different mining weapons. Oh yeah, and I forgot to talk about the mining. Next Aurelian has mining. So yeah, if you want to go mining, or if you want to focus on salvaging, I 100% recommend playing with Junkyard Dogs. It'll definitely expand your experience a lot. I think it's super cool. You even see some modified shepherds and other things in here. Yep, really cool. Adds nicely to the gameplay without treading on anyone's toes. This is definitely going in my next gameplay. Might even do a mining focus run. I like it. Okay, let's go ahead and go on to the next one, which is Carter's Free Traders. Yeah, I like Carter's Free Traders. Here we are. Oh yeah, and the last one was rated a 7 overall. So Carter's Free Traders, interesting. I forgot to mention that Junkyard Dogs are pro-neutral, and they're also pro-Tritech, because they supply Tritech with a bunch of resources. Yeah, here we have the Carter's Free Traders. They are really, really cool. They are our group of smugglers and salvagers, and as you can see, they also kind of have a smorgasbord of different designed ships. They are focused, though, on mid-tech ships, focusing on sensors and stealth. Really cool. They even add hull mods that are especially designed for smuggling things through. they are loosely based off the John Carter, who was a notorious smuggler, which honestly, I don't know why he included this information because, I'm not. It's as loosely based as anything can be loosely based. Inherits the name, inherits the mission and everything else like that. They're made to be blockade runners, lightweight and fast with low armor, low average holes. Yep. So I gave Carter's Free Traders a 7 in terms of vanilla. Honestly, I probably should have given it an 8 because while there are the pirates and stuff, all the factions have tariffs, and so whenever you have a lot of tariffs, especially high tariffs in history, you end up with smugglers and everything else like that, especially because there's banned goods and everything else. So honestly, it makes sense for there to be in vanilla a smuggler faction. So yeah, I like it, and they're also well balanced, so it's perfect. I gave it an 8 in terms of theme. Why they are a smorgasbord of ships, at least they look somewhat similar in design. I don't know what I mean by that, but they're not screaming at me like the Junkyard Dogs stuff were. So I'm sorry, Junkyard Dogs. And then I gave it a 7 in terms of gameplay, just because oh cool, it adds whole mods to let you smuggle better and everything else like that, but it doesn't really add too many other things besides that. Also, in terms of faction relations and diplomacy, they are a pretty neutral faction to everyone, but they are anti the Hiver Swarm. And the Hiver Swarm is going to be the second last faction that I talk about, and I really, really, really love the Hiver Swarm. So, we'll get there when we get there, but this one does require an XRL, and I think I mentioned that. Anyway, I'm getting pretty tired. I've been talking for 40 minutes. Anyway, let's go ahead and move on to the... Oh, yeah, and this gives it a score of 7.333 overall. And let's go ahead and move on to the EPTA Consortium. EPTA Consortium. There we are. EPTA Consortium, they are a mysterious group that supports AI Ascension. I think this is the other AI heavy faction. Where are we? Nope. Here we are. Anti-hegemony and okay, so they are anti-hegemony and anti-Ludic. They fought a big war with hegemony and Ludic forces, but they were able to kind of scare them off by basically killing everyone, killing everyone that came to attack them. So EPTA Consortium, really, really OP. But I gave them an 8 in terms of vanilla. I think I really just loved their design space, and I really loved how they had AI integration. And it's not like their phase technology is super OP or anything else like that. And okay, actually I remember what it is. And the author spends a lot of time working on balancing all of this stuff. He really does. He does a great job at that. A lot of cool things in here. Here's some more of the ships doing really cool things. It definitely has a lot of work in this mod, and it really shows. Focuses on high-tech tech ships that can include AI as their driver to do better stuff. They have cool phase technology, and they are focused on extended fights. So, yeah, pretty cool stuff. I gave it, 8 in terms of vanilla, gave it a 7 in terms of theme, because these ships all match together. They're really well themed, and cool theme too with all the AI stuff. Clearly goes high technology. And I gave it a 7 in terms of gameplay, because it mostly just adds ships and everything else. Cool, gives it an overall rating of 7.333. Honestly, I don't like high-tech ships that much. I do not like phase ships. I know a lot of people really love running in phase ships and dodging everything, but honestly, I'm not that good a pilot. So, I'm not sure if I'll play with this mod again. But, it's definitely really good, and for anyone who likes that kind of thing, this is definitely a mod for you. Okay, and now we have a big jump from 7.33 straight to 8. and that is the Hazard Mining Incorporated. So I've played with this mod a lot, and I enjoy it a lot, and so honestly that probably bites me a little bit. This is a anti-Lud faction. They have high-tech ships. Oh, wait, no. Okay, whew. Okay, I'm like, wait, no, this is not a high-tech faction. Okay, no, these are low-tech ships, and they trade performance for cost and ruddiness, and so they are really able to, kind of tank a beating. And also, the faction is a fridge miner coalition with hodgepodge starships. I wrote it's great, so that's that goes to show how much I love this faction. Really cool stuff. I love also all the names: Greasy, Creep, Convict, Streak, Cockroach, Roach, King, Slugworth. Like these, they really take the theme to the next level. So I give it an 8 in terms of vanilla. Makes sense. Miners are out on the fringe, risking their life. Makes sense for them to get a faction. It's also really well balanced. So it's great. In terms of theme, I give it an 8. Look at this, like. Oh my gosh, dude! They Scarecrow. Man, it's just they do such a good job of balancing everything and just like having great names and everything else going really well together and everything else. Yeah, I like it a lot. In terms of gameplay, I give it 8. They add some cool ships. They add some new redacted stuff to harvest. They add some new minor things for Nexarolin. So yeah, add some nice gameplay. Add some new resources. Yeah. So, adds cool things all around. Can't complain. I also honestly like mods that add new resources. So, yeah, I like it a lot. Gives it overall an 8. Definitely playing with Hazard Mining Corporation again. Yeah, these vessels are cheap, efficient, but poor in combat. Yep, well said. Impossible to deploy. Yep. Lost Souls being increasing number of D-mods on these ships. There's increasing number of ordnance points. Yeah, great. Loved it. Hazard Mining Incorporated all the way. Now we're getting to perhaps my new favorite faction mod, which is the Hiver Swarm. And these are who I mentioned Kaddur Free Trade is anti. And these, in terms of diplomacy, I just wrote system threat. And the Hiver Swarm is a bug-like swarm intent to devour the sector. They will expand and aggress. They will aggress and attack everyone. Look at these ships. Oh my gosh, these are so cool. Yeah, you can definitely see all the bug-like influences, everything else like that. Really cool. Really cool. Amazing. They are Nexarolin compatible. In fact, you should play them with Nexarolin. Man, I've been mispronouncing it again. Oh man, I'm gonna get so flamed in the comments. Anyway, they are Nexarolin compatible, yes. Okay, they are Nexarolin compatible. But I would advise not to play with Random Sector because, in general, they start in the edge of the sector. And that is so that they will have time to expand and then attack everyone else because they expand way more rapidly than everyone else. And they're designed to be a good mid and late game threat. But if you start with Random Sector, then they'll spawn in the core worlds, and then they'll just get dogpiled. But I will say, yeah, they definitely are a system-wide threat if you don't play with Random Sector. Really freaking cool. I will say this in terms of vanilla, I gave them a 4. And the reason is that their ships are freaking OP. These are OP as hell, high-tech ships, and they regenerate. They do have a little bit of lower damage, and they're focused on doing like damage. They have lower alpha strike and stuff like that. And they're focused on doing damage over time, but the hulls regenerate. They're really cool. You are kind of blocked from taking over these ships unless you do some really weird stuff. Yeah. I won't spoil the mechanics too much. But anyway, yeah. So that's why they get a 4 for vanilla, even though like system threat is good and everything else like that. You should think of them more as the remnants. Like crazy OP stuff. In terms of theme, I gave them a 10. Just look at these bad boys. I like system threat. Whoever coded this, honestly, it deserves a medal. They did an amazing job. In terms of gameplay, I also gave it a 10. Really spices up your game. Like if you're exploring, you can then find out where they started, and then like keep your colonies and stuff away from there. Go to the other side of the sector. just makes the sector way more dynamic. Really amazing. Absolutely adore the Hiver Swarm. Going into most of my, if not all, of my future playthroughs. Yeah, amazing. If you want spoilers for how it works, go ahead and go on the Hiver Swarm, and you can see where it starts and everything else like that. But yeah, they hate everyone, so it is really cool. And then we have the last faction and the overall highest rated at 8.333, and that is the Kaddur Remnant. So I've actually also done a faction mod video on the Kaddur Remnant before, so I'm definitely biased. It's made by Vira, which is probably, he's definitely one of my favorite modders, so it also makes me biased. And honestly, it's been a long time since I've played a game without the Kaddur Remnant in my game, because I just like them that much, and to me, they feel like a part of the vanilla game. They were a religious theocratic group that got smashed by the hegemony, and they were systematically eliminated, and so now they are a fringe remnant just working together to scrape by. So because of that, they're heavily anti-hedge. They have mid-tech with high alpha strike and long range, but they're bad shields. And they have almost no energy weapons. And as you can see, all the designs are really consistent. Vanilla, I gave it a 9. Yeah, it's basically a part of vanilla. Honestly, maybe I should have just given it a 10. Whatever. Really well balanced, really well fit. In terms of theme, I give it a 9. Yeah, it adds some cool stuff. Even as super capital, love the theming. They're great ships. I will say, another really cool thing about the theming is that there are some Kaddur Remnant terrorist groups running around, kind of like the Ludic Path. And maybe you guys don't really like that kind of thing, and so if so, you don't have to play with it. But it really helps, tie everything together. Like, the Kaddur Remnant do have some planets, but mostly they're just disparate groups running around doing things. And then the gameplay, I gave it a 7. Doesn't really add too much, kind of just adds ships and frigates and weapons and hull mobs and stuff like that. But nothing truly amazing. I mean, it does add super capital, which is amazing, and does add really cool guns and everything else like that. But, it's kind of just still is what it is. But I absolutely love it. It's rated 8.333, and it's definitely, it was my favorite faction mod before going through all the faction mods. And now it's probably my second favorite or third favorite, but, it's still really amazing. It also is integrated with Virus Sector, as well as Nexerelon, so, yeah, cool. Play it, please. It's good. Okay, whew, yeah, that was the 23 factions that I was going to review today. Took me basically an hour to record it all. Well, we'll see if I'll do the other half. I don't know when I'm going to do it. I'll probably do it in 2 weeks from now. But anyway, thankfully I'm going to get my video out in time. If anyone actually stayed to the end, thank you. Please let me know where I went right, where I went wrong. Yeah, and please let me know your own opinions. And let me know if this is something you like, because it was definitely a lot of different work. That's what I'll say. Normally I write extensive scripts and stuff beforehand. This time I just wrote myself a series of notes and rated everything and played it through and stuff like that. So it definitely required a lot of different work. So anyway. Let me know what you think, and please like, comment, and subscribe. Anyway, see you guys next time.